knowing there isn't a pre-registration.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then having them complete a form, is it done on an iPad?
So I don't really care about the medium in which it's done, right? Whether it's physically written or on an iPad. There's a couple important things. You have to be the one entering the data. So the first thing we want to do is set up a barricade in front of the door. And I don't mean like a legit barricade, but what I mean is there's a countertop that's perfect 15 feet into the house. That's not what we're going. We're having our own table, and we're like 4 feet into the house in a completely inconvenient space with our table,
Hard stop.
with hard
Can't
stop.
go. Okay.
Cannot go. Now, if they really wanted to go around you, they could, right? It's not like I have to move some like rope or something like that to get them in there. But I'm focused on you have to talk to me to get through here. And the thing we always have to remember as agents is this is a private residence, not a public park. So if I tell you have to take your shoes off or, do the funky chicken before you
Right.
walk in, you will do that or you don't come in because the seller has put me in charge of this house and for safety, and this is the real thing, for safety purposes, I cannot have just any person walking in.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, there's actual sellers, and I'm going to do this when I sell my house. There's actual sellers who are like, I don't just want them to sign in, I want a picture of their ID
Mm-hmm.
because thieves, right? All this kind of stuff can happen. Like, who's to say that person randomly walking in there isn't a serial killer,
Right.
right? Now, that's crazy to think about, but it's just true. So, what you want to do is you're either writing it down or typing it out, right? And the thing is, this is the script, right? It's, hey, thanks so much for coming. Did you pre-register for today's event? And then they go, oh, no. And you go, oh, okay. And then you kind of just like do a little look around, like, hey, nobody's watching. Don't worry about it. I'll register you. How do you spell your first name?
Sean.
How do you spell it?
SEAN.
Sean. Okay, cool. And your last name, how do you spell that?
Miller. Miller.
Perfect. And are you 619 or 858?
760
Oh, 760.
522 1212.
Okay, and are you Yahoo or Gmail?
I'm Yahoo.
Okay.
SeanM at yahoo.com.
Oh, nice. One of the first ones, huh?
Yep.
All right. Excellent. Well, so that's how we sign in. So a couple quick things to note. One, I don't make eye contact with you because I get scared when I make eye contact, and most people do, right? I'll back down. It's easy to be tough behind your keyboard. It's easy to be tough if I can't see you, right? So that's an important thing that we learned early on. It was like, just look down. Do not make eye contact with them because you might like wuss out, right? The other thing is, notice I said, how do you spell your first name? I didn't ask what your name was because it's easy to make up a name. It's
Right.
hard to spell somebody else's name,
Yeah.
right? Like a fake
Off
name.
The cuff. Just
Off the
come up with
cuff,
something,
yeah.
And that would probably equal a weirdo.
Same thing as your last name. I just go, okay, and your last name? It's Miller. How do you spell that? Miller. What are you, dumb?
Yeah.
No, I just want to make sure I got the right information, right? And then I know where your listing is. The people that live up there do not have 619 numbers. They rarely have 858 numbers.
Yeah.
They have 760 numbers. And I
Yes.
knew it perfectly, so that's why I said, are you 619 or 858? Because I want you to correct me. Because people love correcting other people,
Got it.
right? Oh, I'm neither of those. I'm 760. I live here, dude, right? So kind of balance that one. You'll get it wrong or right, technically a lot of the times, but it's fine. And you go, okay, 619.
Yeah.
And then Yahoo or Gmail. Gmail, okay. Right? And it'll just flow a little bit more naturally.
Okay.
Now, are people still going to be lying to you? Yeah, absolutely. But the point is that's going to limit their ability. It's going to put enough anxiety on them that they're going to be like, well, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah,
Now,
and they want to get through the door.
They want to get through the door.
Yeah.
Now, an important thing, too, is you have to be able to hold the line with people that want to get through the door without
Right.
signing in, especially if there's other people around.
So maybe something like, can you tell me a popsicle joke?
What?
That's what I'm saying. Would that be so random to say to somebody? I'm easily humored, so
Okay.
I like jokes from popsicle sticks.
Okay.
Basic
But that
one-liners.
doesn't solve the problem, right, of
No.
getting their information. So here's what we do. We kick them out.
Okay.
And here's the reality. Here's how we do it. We don't go, hey, you can't come in here because I said so. Hey, for safety reasons, seriously, the sellers ask that every single person signs in Name, phone number, and email address. And if you cannot comply with that, I can't let you in. They hired me to do a job. If you hired me to do a job and said, do not let anybody into my private residence without signing in, you would expect me to hold the line, right? Go, listen, I'm sorry. I wish I could do something different. I really do. I really wish I could. Maybe there's another open house next week if this house doesn't fly off the market like we think it will. And maybe someone else would be holding the open house that's going to be more lenient. I committed to the seller that I would not do that.
Now, what if it's a buyer with an agent?
That's fine.
Okay.
I have at least the agent sign in. If the agent is there with them, I go, great, agent can sign in on behalf of their buyer. I'm totally fine with that because we can hold you responsible for anything that happens with your buyers. And usually I do say, but we do want you to register them because of health, for safety issues. But listen, I'm gonna just go ahead and let it slide, dude. All right, I got you covered, right? Because I don't want the agent to get all pissed off. The other thing is, if they go, well, I have an agent, they're just not with me. Go, great, you can leave their business card here with me. And we can do that, but I still need you to sign in because you are physically here. I still need you to sign in. It's a safety thing.
Okay.
Right? Strangers in the house. Right?
So as another segue to that, because I know everyone probably does this different, so they might have flyers.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on whether you have an actual flyer or a virtual flyer? Because if they want follow-up data, you could say, okay, great. Once they've signed in, I'll go ahead and everyone who comes, I'm going to go ahead and text a link or email a link with all the information you're looking for.
So you have two options.
Okay.
Absolutely digital flyer, and I am the gatekeeper to the answers that you want, and therefore you're going to have to give me the right stuff. So you can do one of two things. One is you go ahead and scan this QR code for the digital flyer because we don't have any physical ones, right? And then make sure that QR code, when they are trying to access whatever information, gets name, phone number, and email.
Okay.
Or you go, great, I'm going to text you the flyer right now to this number, 858-773-7212. I'm going to text that to you right now. Go ahead and let me know if you got it. Those are the two. Okay. Now, if you do the second one, if you do the first one, you're going to capture their information because QR codes capture that. Text codes are the best, though.
Okay.
QR codes require me to fill in information. Text codes, it's like it came from your phone. I don't need you to fill out that. I know that's your real cell phone. So could I put an old phone number in the QR code one? Yeah, I could. Right? So text code, like text info to 52525. Right?
Is that just as easy to set up as going and getting a
QR code?
Yes.
It's as easy, yes, but you'll have to like buy a number or whatever CRM you're using oftentimes has them. Okay. Right? One of the things I like about LPT is legit, they give you one. Like I have my own. Every agent has their own textable number, and you can text whatever to it, and you capture leads that way. But there's plenty of services. Most CRMs have that, like some kind of text capture feature. But if not, you can do the, hey, I'm going to text you the flyer right now. And what you're actually going to find is people will go, oh, well, I gave you my work number, right?
Exposes them.
Yeah, they go, oh, well, I do want that information, but I gave you my work number. Let me give you my other number.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Let me double check. Oh, you know what? The 7 and the 3 are switched. Like, yeah, you knew that when you gave it to me. So that's what I would do there, too. Here's the other thing, though. You tell them about the house. You go, hey, I'm not going to hover around you. The blah, blah, blah is right back there. The horse stables are right there and down onto the right and the blah, blah, blah. Watch your step, right? Give them that. Be like, hey, and before you leave, make sure you come find me. So, because I have one really important question before you take off. And then they go and they do their thing. And so as they do their thing, just let them go. When they come back, the important question is this the house for you? And the reason why I'm going to do that is because, one, I want to know if yes, then great, let's talk about writing an offer. If no, then that leads me right into my buyer conversation. Oh, really? Well, what would you have to change about this property to make it the one? Because there's something about this property that I know you do like, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So what would you change about this one? That helps me start with my jumping off point for their search as their buyer's agent. Right? What would you change? Well, you know what? I don't like how steep the stairs are to get down to the tack house or whatever, especially if you have to carry a pregnant goat up of it. Right. Or not a pregnant goat, a lactating goat up that hill.
Real thing.
Real life. So, okay, great. So you're looking for something similar to the house layout, but the property, you want it a little bit more flat. Okay, great. Totally get it. right? And now you're working from that conversation. The other thing that we always do, and then I'll answer it. We'll do Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that we always do is, what time is your open house done?
12. Or just, we're going to go from 12 to 3 because she
Okay.
feeds at 4.
So 3 o'clock to 3:30, you're actually working still. But 3 to 3:30, you are shooting videos with something memorable. So for that house, you're going to be on the deck with the horse stable in the background.
Okay.
And you're going to go, hey, Melissa, what's up? It was great meeting with you and Benjamin yesterday, or earlier today. Sorry, it's right the same day. It's great meeting with you and Benjamin earlier today, and I'm super excited to help you guys, blah, 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 blah. Remember, yada, yada. I'll be following up tomorrow to just talk a little bit more about whatever. Nobody else is sending that video text message after the fact. They're going to remember you. They're going to think about you. They're going to know that you stand out. So those are like the critical things that we do at every single open house. What other things are you concerned about?
So, first and foremost was being able to capture the buyer's data when they came through the door. And then, yeah, of course, because, right, they come through the door, you say hi, they give you the info, and then they just wander.
Yeah.
And then I like the one important question because it helps them cycle back through to you.
Yeah.
Versus just leaving and saying thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There's, what else do you say at that point? Did you like the home? Do you have horses? Because clearly you wouldn't go there if you don't, because it's, there's a huge arena. Maybe they have cows, I don't know, but they have to be into livestock.
Yeah.
Of some sort. So that follow-up question I think is like pivotal, because I wouldn't know really what else to say other than, just feedback. I would probably say the word feedback.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too, is when they first walk in and you tell them that, you're setting the expectation that I am going to talk to you before you leave.
Yes.
Versus like, oh, there
Sneaking
they
out
go.
the back door.
There they go out the front door, and it's like, okay, well, what am I going to say? And like, hey, real quickly, I gotta. Right? It's like, no, we already set this expectation that I'm going to talk to you before you leave, and I have just one question, so it's not going to be super inconvenient. And it sets that expectation for them, and they're less likely to try to dip and dodge. Mm-hmm. It'll still happen, but far less frequently.
One probably important thing too is like just being able to read and work the room. Mm-hmm. So you're not like talking to one couple or person more than the others. And so I could see how you really have to be vigilant of that. Mm-hmm. And continually be making eye contact with everybody. So they're like, oh, okay. They might be showing more interest, so she's talking to them more. Mm-hmm. Which I feel like can turn somebody off.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been ignored in buying situations where I'm like, maybe I'm being judgy, but I'm probably the most qualified buyer in here. Maybe I'm dressed not so like that, but I definitely am. What's going on here? Right? More recently, like a car purchase I made.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to buy this thing right now. Like, I already know exactly which one. I'm just waiting for you to like look at me, and I will buy a car from you. So the first salesperson looked at me, got a sale. Like literally the first one that made eye contact with me. I was like, boom, let's go buy a car. Anyways, so you're right about that. And here's the other thing too, is you always have to be ready. Now this is like bonus material. Mm-hmm. You have to be ready to show a house that day. You should not have plans at 4:00.
Got it.
Now, if you do, that's fine. But like moving forward, you should not have plans after that. What you want to do is get them into another house that same day.
Okay.
For after open house showing. And the easiest way to do that, by the way, is, and it piggybacks on that conversation. So what you do is you got to know what's plus or minus that property. So how many bedrooms is it? 3. So you need to know all the 2 bedrooms and the 4 bedrooms around there. Right? There's not going to be that many 2 bedrooms around there. Mm-hmm. So you got to know all the other 3s. You got to know the 4s. If it was a 3 bedroom or a 4 bedroom, you would want to know all the 3s and all the 5s. Right? You always want to know plus or minus. You also want to know like plus or minus square footage and acreage in that particular area, because there's acres.
Yeah.
So you want to know, okay, what are like the 1 acre properties? That one's like 3. So what are like the 5 acre properties looking like? What's the pricing? What's a similar-ish property here? That's not a perfect match, because you got to think about it. If you only look at the information that you use to comp the property, what's going to happen is someone's going to go, oh yeah, but it's a little too small. And you're going to go, oh shit, I don't know anything.
Right. Or
this is a little too big. Or I wish I had this feature. Mm-hmm. So you don't just look at you look at the comps for comping the property. but you also want to look at everything wider outside there, plus or minus, so that when you go, hey, so last question, is this the property for you? And they go, no. And you go, oh, really? What would make this the right property for you? They go, well, we work from home, so 3 bedrooms is exactly what we need in terms of sleeping, but we need an additional area for an office. So whether it's a separate unit or a flex space in there that could be turned into an office, that's what we're looking for. You know what? I know of a property. It's very similar to this. It's sitting on 4 acres. It has 3 bedrooms, but it does have the optional office. It's kind of like almost like a loft area. And so, you know what are you guys doing at 3:30? I'm done here at 3. What are you doing at 3:30? Okay, great. Let's just go ahead and see that property together. Let's get eyes on it. That way you can tell me if that's kind of the right fit. Notice how I'm not trying to sell them every house. I'm trying to sell them a house that fits for them.
Specific home.
Yeah, so if I know that this home, they spent their time of the day to come here and look at this house, but it's not the right one, chances are something similar-ish to that is the right one. So I got to know what's similar, but I can't only be subject to like what's almost identical. Does that make sense?
Yes. I've had, from the phone calls since it went into coming soon, have not been about bedrooms like standard. It's they liked it because there's 2 stables, so
Yeah.
it's been around their horses versus the actual home.
Yeah, so then now you got to go make sure all the other properties within like a 20-30 mile radius them. And you're going to be like, okay, well, these are the ones that I would show people that don't want to buy this house. Right? So what that really is saying is this. Every buyer that walks in is your buyer. And so would you only show that one house to your buyer? No. Right? And so you have to just assume every single person that walks in here is my buyer. And I wouldn't just show them one house out today. If I knew of another house that was similar, well, first of all, if they were my buyer, I would learn about the other similar houses, and then I would show them those other houses. And so, like, as soon as you start walking around assuming that everybody else is your buyer, then it becomes natural to do all those other things.
Yes.
Right? Like, hey, we wouldn't just stop at one open house, and then be like, that's the day. No, you'd schedule 3 or 4 more showings at a time, right?
Yeah,
so that's the way
especially
you
out
got to
there
think about
because
it.
you are driving a little bit.
Yeah, and most of the people are going to be from the city, right? And they're going to be like, okay, well, if I'm going to be out here, I'm going to make a whole day of it, right? And yeah, like we went out and saw like 6 properties at once when we were looking in rural areas. So, because we're like, dude, I'm not coming out here again next week or during the week. You know what I mean? Like Saturday, Sunday, this is my day to be out in Valley Center or El Cajon or Hamul or Ramona.
Right.
Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, they'll usually make a day of it. I think those were my main things. It's I guess the conversation out there is not how many kids you